primary is you're going to see, 20 some names.
I turned my mic off so you can hear me talking to John Thomas.
Players on the debate stage, and I think it's going to be who has that breakout moment that's going to separate them from the pack.
And one of the little in the weeds things that a lot of people don't think about is that he's at a period now where, in many cases, he's a stranger to the state level apparatchiks in Maine and Alabama and all that. And he's going everywhere. He's flying around the country endorsing your reelection. And when he does that, he meets your campaign manager and your state chairman and all that. So he is now becoming a 3D person to all these people that he needs on the East Coast and the whole schmear. Well, and the other thing is, people point out that never in American history has a mayor of a major city or a podunk town ever gone from mayor to the White House, and that his counter argument is, yeah, well, Los Angeles is larger than 23 U.S. states. And it's ironic to me because every one of those states that's smaller than L.A., he would never have survived politically. He'd be run out of the state on a rail in his Lululemons. But he's saying that somehow, and we were saying off air, that a lot of people have the misperception that Los Angeles is run well. They think that this town's run well.
Taxes and all, and the homelessness problem, the crime problem, she's going to have a hard argument to make to some of these more rural locations, especially in some of those early primary states, that you want your state to be modeled after Los Angeles.
And do you think it's easy to make that case? Because here's what I would do. I would simply say, if he made it into the primary, if he survived and he was a Democratic nominee, I would make him the candidate from Hollywood. I would hang all of Hollywood's, the entire pervalanche of 2017. I would hang the entire pervalanche on him, plus the crap that comes out of Hollywood. I would simply make him the candidate from Hollywood.
So that's a strategy. And the other challenge is Eric Garcetti has to be able to position himself and find his lane where he can identify with the blue-collar Democrat.
Yeah. And also, I think somewhere there might be some opposition research on Eric Garcetti, the young man, whatever. I think he's a pretty egocentric, good-looking young guy. Surely somewhere, there's a harlot. But the thing is, you don't even have to go that deep. If I was a absolute mercenary political consultant being paid to come up with commercials against Eric Garcetti, my commercial would simply show him speaking Spanish for 60 seconds. Because that Look, like her, my job is to come up with an effective commercial, not apologize for it. And I would say for Southern Democrats in the primary, you show him speaking Spanish to a crowd in Los Angeles, and it's done. That's a free idea, by the way.
It's interesting. Wing of the Democratic Party that would embrace that and think that that's the kind of leader that we need. But you're right. There are Southern Democrats that would be completely. Pummeled by the attack.
I'm way late. I'll wrap him up here.
Team in their keep.
No. What do you say, Brian? I don't know who this is. I haven't said my name. And you know what? If people are timid about the Spanish thing, then you know what? Just get that audio clip of him thanking felons for their service. Thanking convicts for their service and giving them a hand up. Just put that up there. He thanked felons for their service.
Challenge you got is, even in a mayoral contest that he went through, I don't want to say really was.
Yeah. Oh, really? She could have crowdsourced that. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, the positives are we'd be rid of him, and America would have its first female president. So, all right, well, you break a leg there on the Buck Sexton Show. John Thomas. Oops, sorry, John Thomas, political consultant. He'll be on the Patriot 1150 at 9 p.m. filling in for Buck Sexton, and today and tomorrow. All right, we'll be back right after this. The Johnny Ken Show. My name here, filling in. Deborah Mark with the news.
Floating in a shipping channel at the port of Long Beach. The whale showed up last night and has since been tied to the pier to keep it out of the shipping lanes. Officials are planning to examine the whale today to look for a cause of death. A man suspected of shoplifting in South Carolina has been caught with a whole lot of other stuff he shouldn't have had. The guy was busted at a Walmart store Christmas Eve. Cops say he had thousands of doses of heroin, some pills, a gun. He also had 2 human teeth in his backpack. Afghan officials say a suicide bombing in Kabul has killed at least 41 people who had gathered at a Shiite cultural center.
Can we replay John Thomas in the 5 o'clock hour, or did I fuck it up at the beginning?
We'll check the 60 next.
Based on the great work. I don't recall you fucking it up, but if you did fuck it up, I'm pretty adept at fixing it.
I started talking about more sort of out of context immigration law, but maybe what I'll do is I'll do that again in the break before we play it.
Struggling with addiction. And the Tea Project.
You're hearing some of the inside baseball about how we... No, I couldn't get any Asahi today, so I went into Petros and Money's office, and I got a...
Yeah, it'll be fine, because we got a super segment at 5. So
Kona Brewing. A super segment!
We could, yeah. Play that at 5, and then when that ends, just keep going to 27.
Okay.
We got ourselves a super segment. Hey, what's the... Does oh, you're still streaming. Here's a question for you. Does Asahi still sell those giant cans?
They do. They don't have them. You have to go to 99 Ranch Market on Sepulveda.
Yeah.
Or Murakami in downtown LA.
Yeah.
Like, take the downtown exit if you're going to Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
off 5, and they not only sell those gigantic fucking commuter mugs,
Yeah.
but they sell one. They sell a growler. They sell one this big with a screw top and a plastic handle. And I belted it in. I put a fucking seatbelt on that motherfucker, and I did. I mean, it blocks your vision.
Yeah.
So it's probably not for driving, but I mean, no shit. It's a gigantic silver can with a plastic handle, and you can get them at Murakami. Oh, Murakami.
Yeah.
There's one near Fox 11, and then one in downtown LA.
Yeah, all the places Bevmo doesn't have them. The liquor stores don't have them. They sell an Asahi can, but it's not the same thing as.
Yeah, and the guy,
Yeah.
the Syrian dude that owns the liquor store next to Umami Burger,
Yeah.
I think I'm his sole customer. But he has Asahi
Yeah.
usually for the weekends.
I'll go pick some up.
But yeah, you're shit out of luck in Santa Clarita.
Why'd they stop doing that?
I don't know. The last place that had them was at.
There was a place on Bouquet that I could get them, and a place on Sand Canyon I could get them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now.
Oh!
Sand Canyon Liquor used to have them.
Yeah, they still do.
They still do?
That's my stop before I come here for Dark Secret Place.
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely
And I
do.
live
Not
right
the
at that-
giant cans. They have the next. They downsized to the next one.
Right, but I'm talking about the big. I still want the big one.
Yeah, they don't stock those.
Yeah, there was a place on Bouquet where Telly's is. They used to have them.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't been
Oh
there.
yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I think the lady that works there is like not Ukrainian. I forget where she's from. But she's a nurse in her home country. I know that.
Oh really.
That's a bummer. Yeah, I gotta hunt for those things now.
Okay. I know this period when I'm not talking is not the most exciting, is it?
$1,000 finance. Example, 10% down. Not all buyers will qualify. Total factory cash includes 1,000 trade assist cash, which requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle. Excludes Raptor. Offer ends 1/2/18.
How you going? I've been going great ever since I discovered a fantastic way to relieve all those cranky muscle aches and joint pains that really slowed me down. New Raging Kakapo Pain Relief Cream. Raging Kakapo Pain Relief Cream contains not one, but 2 active pain-fighting ingredients that work fast to give me lasting relief right where I need it. Plus, Raging Kakapo contains the best of nature. Really good stuff from the land down under, my home sweet home. Raging Kakapo is non-greasy and has a pleasant, fading, mild scent. When I put it on, I feel pain relief. Raging Kakapo.
Any Raging Kakapo questions? Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'm friends with Courtney Friel. And by the way, yes, she is in real person. It's pretty crazy. She's like impossibly attractive. She's one of those people. Kind of like my buddy Lauren Sivan, who is like unimaginably beautiful, but she's super funny. So it's like I say, it's not easy to hang out, mainly because other guys are sitting there, wondering what the hell you're doing, having a drink with her. But we're good buddies. She's really good people. I like her a lot, and I hope she stays in LA. Hope she stays on LA TV. If I make a living purely off Dark Secret Place, we might move to Oregon, or Eastern Washington, or just over the border in Oregon, out of California. I still need pretty easy access to LA, so I'd be flying into Burbank, like Reading to Burbank, like once or twice a week. I have to come down here. But getting out of California would be the key. Yes, it's connectpal.com for Dark Secret Place. Oh, my wife took my ID card.
Hey, do these North Korean mystery ghost ships interest you at all?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about North Korea, I think, next hour.
All right, cool. Yeah.
We'll call it a North Korea topical blowout. Handle's pretty hard to deal with. And then for 2018, I'll still be doing the podcast, but the live YouTube stuff, I'm going to have to go on Patreon to support that, which is fine, though, because I should be cracking 20 or 30,000 subscribers so that I can do a daily, TV show. And but I got to go on Patreon to support that, because that, with crew and everything and the people editing it, it's going to cost about $2,000 a month, and I'm not going to pay $2,000 a month to do YouTube. And I promised to lose weight. Excuse me. What is the HD ESPN? It's like 710 or something? KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. It is a John and Ken show. Here until 6 p.m. Talking about California pretty much just giving up the pretense, taking off the mask, and becoming, on January 1st, a full-on sanctuary state. And so I told you about the Head Start provision, where employers have to give their employees, and if you don't do this, you're going to be fined, but employers have to give employees 3 days heads up that the federales are going to be coming and looking at employee records, which is how ICE gets to do that. ICE gets to show up and look at your employee records. They have the federal authority to do that. So anyway, well, I'm calling that the Head Start. Employers can be fined for not giving workers a 72-hour notice that those agents will be inspecting employee records. So there's that. It gets better, though, because Kevin DeLeon, who knows absolutely nothing about his roommate having inappropriate sexual relations with interns and lobbyists in that house they shared in Sacramento. In fact, he moved out. He took such umbrage when he discovered that. Anywho, future Senator Kevin DeLeon was his bill was SB 54. This prevents, this is now going to be law on January 1st. Local law enforcement in the state of California cannot assist federal law enforcement authorities by calling them when an illegal alien felon is arrested. A guy's arrested for a felony. They find out he's not here legally. A cop in Vacaville, Merced, Modesto, whatever, or a deputy sheriff will be breaking state law if they pick up the phone and call ICE and say, "We got one of yours." So thank you, Kevin DeLeon, who, again, bragged about having relatives using fake Social Security numbers. So I don't know what to say. I'm running out of time. I got to throw it to Deborah Mark here, but we are in active, open rebellion towards the federal government, at the same time begging the federal government for billions in disaster aid because of these wildfires. So put yourself in the rest of the country's position, and ask yourself, what is California to the rest of the country at this point? And will this stuff be challenged? Surely this stuff will not remain. But this is how a Democrat supermajority sticks a gigantic middle finger up at Trump, just because we want immigration law enforced. Back in just a second, the John and Ken Show. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. All right, I retweeted that I am doing this. I wonder if there's a way. Can I go like this? Oh, no. How's that working? I want to get me a bowl game on, so I have to go at the TVs with two remotes. You mean the Madeleine Albright story? Not Margaret Thatcher. Is my PC up? Oh.
Yes.
Okay. KFI AM 640 more stimulating talk. It is a John and Ken show until 6 p.m. Nothing but a rage. And we've got 1 hour of rage behind us, and we'll get to more rage because it's more of the official legal instruments that make California a rebellious state in open rebellion and interfering with federal immigration law, etc. We'll get to that a little later on. A lot of other things to get to. Not happening in the LA area, but in Ukiah. But we just love it because of the booking photo. Man bit off a piece of family member's ear during Christmas Eve argument over weed. Bro, and Nick, can you post that so we can get that mug shot? I mean, the shape of the guy's head, you can tell a mile away. Oh, he's going to commit a crime. Did you see that, dude, Deborah Mark? Doesn't look like the kind of guy who'd bite your ear off over a weed argument, but by golly, that's what he did. Christmas Eve was, I love these wacky kicker stories. Christmas Eve was anything but merry and bright for one California family. According to a press release from local police, officers were called to a Ukiah home after 2 relatives got into an altercation over weed, during which a piece of one man's ear was bitten off. The 35-year-old victim had fresh blood running down his face and was immediately rushed to an area hospital to be treated for his injuries. Upon further investigation, police learned that the suspect, identified as Samuel Paul Galindo, had been drinking with his relative when the pair got into a disagreement about a marijuana product. And just, folks, just expect more of this when the evil devil's plant is legal on January 1st. If you think this is bad, guy biting a beloved relative's ear off, you just wait till thousands of people in California are legally smoking on the Devil's Johnson, and you just see what happens when that happens. Which, by the way, my prediction for January 1st is because I know from living in Washington State, I know from Colorado, that marijuana was illegal one day, and then it was legal the next day. Effectively, here in California, it's been de facto legal for what, 15 years or more since the medical marijuana thing came in. It's not like prohibition is ending at midnight. I mean, if you are so dedicated to getting stupid that it means that much to you, chances are you already have a medical marijuana card. And so I don't know that we're going to see really a heck of a lot of difference because Colorado has done a really outstanding job marketing marijuana tourism. And so I don't know that California as a state authority, they're not going to do those commercials with all the celebrities on the beach and all that. They're not going to do Schwarzenegger and those California tourism commercials that for some reason, I have no idea why. Well, no, they run them on cable news. So they're national commercials. They're running on MSNBC and Fox. But, they tell people to come to California for the sun and the waves and the whole thing. And they need to have Johnny Depp or someone just wasted, just sitting there on the beach, just honking a fatty, and I mean, honestly, if they're serious about this and they really want the revenue to come to California the way that it has in Washington and Colorado, then they need to get behind it and put some marketing money and just flat out say, screw Colorado and never mind the hippies in Washington, come to California in shorts, get a tan, get ripped, just get stupid on Marshawn Lynch weed, and give us your tourist dollars. Take some derivatives. Let's just sit there and keister some hash oil, and then go to Harry Potter at Universal. because you can't do that in, do you know what keister means? I thought it was, well, anyway, vape a bunch of weed and go see Harry Potter. Go on that Harry Potter ride, which, by the way, Stone Cold Sober, that's an awesome ride. It's biting off ears? No, because the people have spoken, and the people never make mistakes. The people activated in voting for the first time never ever make mistakes. We've decided to legalize recreational marijuana. And I mean, look, even though I don't do the marijuana recreational or for work, I will admit, alcohol is my intoxicant and it's perfectly legal. And so, no, but I mean, and besides, that's not what legalizing it means. It's still illegal to drink and drive. And like those signs, like you were talking about, this week the signs say, drive high, get a DUI. And last week it was meds are intoxicants too, something like that. Last week it said something like DUI also includes meds or something like that. This week it's drive high, DUI, and that's going to be up, all week long and probably into next week because recreational marijuana becomes legal at midnight. What they did up in Seattle when marijuana became legal is they had this big ceremony at the Space Needle Brew, and at midnight everyone sparked up. And we're like, oh, we're getting high. And it's like, have you all come back to junior high? Are you all in 9th grade now? Like, look, dude, I'm holding a joint, which is a marijuana cigarette. Right here, man. And it's like Thai stick or whatever. They were just they look childish. But then again, if you look at photos of the 19th Amendment being, well, I think that's what it was, when Prohibition was struck down, people did get blind drunk in the streets. They really went crazy. But here in California, it has been de facto legal. You just have to go down to Venice and convince the bottom graduate of his medical school class, who's in a booth down there, that you have night blindness or a pelvic tilt or whatever, and he just writes a script. You get your medical marijuana card. So it's been de facto legal, and I'm just not feeling the buzz. I know that friends of mine up in Washington, were excited about it. I'm like, dude, you're 47. Grow up. It's like high-fiving with his kids. Yeah, down here it's like, well, it's almost an administrative thing, effectively. So we'll see, but they have those signs up, and you're supposed to pay attention and read the freeway signs. Get high, DUI, or whatever it says. All right, when we come back, a couple ominous signs out of North Korea, or are they? Is the Trump administration setting up a gigantic bluff that a so-called bloody nose airstrike is going to take out the North Korean nuclear facilities and H-bomb industry, that and more. When we come back, it is the John and Ken Show on KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. Deborah Mark with the news. I forgot to say, streaming at unsheepyourself.com. Excuse me. I don't hate potheads. Someone said he will be triggered when he sees those pothead Latinos. Or are you talking about John? Oh my God, yeah. my older brother is a huge pothead, and he has been since he was 14. It's what my older brother got kicked out of the Marine Corps for failing a whiz quiz. And back then the Marine Corps there was no second chances. So he failed his whiz quiz and he was out. In the Army, we call a urinalysis a whiz quiz. Because when I became an officer, you have to have a witness now. There's too many ways to fake a clean urinalysis. So a witness has to go in and actually see you urinate into the cup. And that official witness is an officer, usually. And he's called by the delightful nickname, the meat gazer. So usually the lowest ranking, the newest officer has to be the meat gazer. So I had to be the meat gazer for like the first year. I was a second lieutenant. And am I in queue?
Oh, yes.
Trump, you entered into the White House on the back of your crusader rhetoric, in which the fake media has pressured you to tone down. Your fangs and hatred towards Islam has already been revealed, oh dog of Rome. You do not liberate cities. You only obliterate them with your airstrikes because you are too frightened to fight us on the ground. You are not witnessing your fake victory. Your war against Islam has only made your homeland more vulnerable and your society cracking into chaos.
I'm going to play this audio when we come back of a American ISIS guy. They're claiming that his accent is an American accent, and I don't know if you can hear this, but
to Trump, you entered into the White House on the back of your crusader rhetoric, in which the fake media has pressured you to tone down. Your fangs and hatred towards Islam has already been revealed, oh dog of Rome. You do not liberate cities. You only obliterate them with your airstrikes because you are too frightened.
Oh, dog of Rome. That's why I love it when they speak English. I love it when they translate Quranic threats into English. Oh, dog of Rome. You dog of Rome. Who can we email about the fill-in for Gary and Shannon? Because that's got to stop. Again, not my radio station. I'm not a genius. I think I know what the KFI brand is, and I think if you look up KFI brand, I might be there pictured, but I don't run the radio station. He almost sounds like Mike Tyson, too. He nearly sounds like Mike Tyson. Yeah, I'll play it on the air so you can hear it a little better.
the point of it? Why do you find joy in taking innocent people and finding a way to be mean to them? It's not okay.
What do they say to you?
They call me, they make fun of my nose, they call me ugly, they say I have no friends.
What'd they do to you at lunch?
Put milk on me and put ham down my clothes through bread.
And I'm gonna use a PC here. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. The John and Ken Show in here till 6 p.m. And we'll get to some Korea talk here in a little bit. An ominous clue. There was a defector 2 months ago, the guy who had all the roundworms in his intestines. But there was another defector a week and a half ago. And he brought with him a pretty ominous clue, or was it? I'll tell you what that is. Let's check everyone's social media literacy. Do you guys know what a milkshake duck is? Nick or Deborah, have you heard what a milkshake duck is? A milkshake duck. Here's the deal. Here was the most prominent milkshake duck of 2017. Let's see if you can remember this kid.
Help me, they make fun of my nose.
Remember that kid? They're in the car with his girlfriend. What? Okay, so remember when that thing hit, every professional athlete, was talking into the camera. This is LeBron James. Let me tell you something, Keaton. You're a winner. I'm going to unlock your inner winner. I'm sending you a pair of, LeBron James shoes, whatever. Everyone loved this kid. And then within what? 24 hours? The pictures of him waving a Confederate flag with his, I guess, mom, and his family, shamed him. And he went from pretty damn fast. And the term for that, the correct term for that is milkshake duck, because somebody did a hilarious parody on the Twitter and some other social media where they had a video of a duck drinking a milkshake out of a straw. And they said, hilarious video, must click, so funny, duck drinking milkshake, funniest thing you've ever seen. And the joke was, you click on the video, and then it comes up and it says, it's been discovered that the duck is a racist. And so within 2 clicks, you're off the milkshake duck. So that's what it's called. Someone like Ken Bone, remember him from the debates, that guy with the red sweater, and then it turns out on Reddit that he raped. What keeps happening is the Wi-Fi keeps shitting the bed here at KFI. And why wouldn't it? We're only a media company here in LA. Where should I put that?
Cash on.
Hey, guess what? I'm back. And I peed. Really well, too. I mean, it was top notch. So anyway, yeah, we'll be doing a YouTube thing. And that will be like a daily 1 hour. And I'll make it, I am going to make it kind of general topics because personally, I think I do a pretty good general radio show based on news and whatever, popular culture, whatever. I'm not just like a dark secret place gun guy, but I'm getting pigeonholed like that. But so the YouTube daily show will be, like 20 minutes to half an hour minimum, depending on the news. Because what I found on YouTube is if you give people that endpoint, like a 20-minute endpoint, they will watch the whole thing. My YouTube metrics are pretty good. YouTube likes it because my average viewing time is 19 minutes. And that's like almost unheard of. You have to be in a top viewer. But so I'm excited about that because I really think I think that AM radio is really missing the fact that a lot of our what are called P1s, primary listeners, in their 40s and 50s have adopted YouTube and are watching, certain viewers on YouTube. Radio keeps wondering where the listeners are going, and they keep trying to attract millennials. Millennials will never listen to KFI until they buy a house. Until you start paying taxes, KFI doesn't make any sense. It doesn't feel good. And so and so that's kind of our problem is that millennials don't have kids yet and they haven't bought a house. And so that's the big dividing line in conservative radio. Is that people have to be invested in government and society, and you don't do that until you pay taxes. And so AM is searching for, how to get the millennials. Never mind the millennials. People in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are on YouTube. Just get them. But anyway. That's me preaching to the choir. Hi, choir. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. And the John and Ken show here until 6 o'clock. So here's the deal. There have been Canadians, ISIS is on the run. They're over. The ship has sailed. They're metastasizing, and they're going back. Some of the infected cells are going back to Belgium and Germany and France, and that's going to be their problem. We really had, in the grand scheme of things, we had very few Americans who successfully were recruited and left and went to Syria to join ISIS. Generally, they got catfished. They got trolled online into stating their intent, and they bought a one-way ticket as instructed with cash, or whatever. And how many times have we seen the story that they're arrested at LAX? Because in the United States, if you show intent to provide material support to a terrorist organization, then we got you. We're going to arrest you. You're going to get at least 5 years in Colorado. So you talking to what you think is a ISIS recruiter and then acting on their advice, buying a ticket, stating your intent to join the caliphate, and then showing up at LAX, you're got. They got you. And so, but some have squirted through. And, who cares? If they get killed on the battlefield, then, we're saved a federal trial. So the FBI is looking at this guy, this video that was released today. They're saying this is an American accent, and the guy is throwing the gauntlet down at the Donald Trump, who, as it turns out, is a dog of Rome. He's saying, but the FBI is saying that this is an American accent. So listen close to this guy. He is a African-American guy, they say. He might be an African-Canadian guy. Or we don't know. But anyway, he looks like Don Cheadle. Yeah, here's a little challenge there. And point in fact, in the times that we have committed, in the times since Obama has been president, and we've actually committed Delta Force and others on the ground against ISIS, they've wiped these guys out. I mean, just absolutely left stinking ISIS corpses all over the place. But why do that when you can drop bombs on them, basically? So they're saying that's an American accent. And again, this is not Mike Tyson. And I looked into that. Dog of Rome is actually the follow-up to Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London. So the purpose of this is not quite clear because the guy's lost a leg. And in the video, they actually show him putting on his prosthetic leg. Where he got the prosthetic leg, I don't know. He might have flown home to L.A. and Eric Garcetti personally paid for it. Who knows? But he's in the background, it's just pure wreckage because ISIS caliphate in 2017, and again, I mean, I'm on the record. I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump. He was not a Republican 5 years ago, but he is president now, and I will give credit where credit's due. His policy of allowing local commanders, meaning CENTCOM, Central Command commanders, to make the day-to-day calls about how to fight ISIS is head and shoulders a smarter policy than Obama's. It's almost to the point where Trump got results so quickly, you have to ask, was Obama intentionally not getting results? Was he actually holding the U.S. military back just so that he could say that we were committed against ISIS, but then not actually do anything? Because what Trump has done by simply saying, just don't give me the details. Just give me the end state where ISIS is broken up and getting bombed. Well, since January 20th, it has been a fairly straightforward matter of putting certain targets that were off limits when Obama was president and putting them back on the target list. And by the way, to you Vietnam veterans, does this sound familiar? When LBJ was president, he literally would sit there with a map in the Oval Office and approve targets, individual targets. Trump said, make ISIS go away. Make them go to heaven, give them their wish, whatever. And so it's a complex thing. Because I'm not going to sit here and wave a flag and say, rah, rah, America did something great for the world. But in the complexity that is the Syrian civil war, you have on one side a brass-plated son of a bitch named Bashar Assad. And he is backed up by the Iranian government, also brass-plated sons of bitches. And over command of all of them is Vladimir Putin. And he's not there because he gives a rip about the sovereignty of Bashar Assad's Syria, or he doesn't want it overthrown by Sunnis or whatever. He's doing it to expand his own influence in the Middle East. And I know that, and he knows that I know that, and you should all know that he knows that you know that, because that's what he's there for. He really couldn't care less about anything about ISIS except the appearance that he is the decisive factor that killed ISIS. He cares more about keeping Bashar Assad in power until he decides Assad goes. The Iranians care more about preventing Sunnis from flipping a Shia-friendly government. And now there's going to be a highway. Now that the dust is settled, the Iranians are going to build an autobahn from Tehran to the Mediterranean. So after all those bombs are dropped, Bashar Assad, who last I heard, Assad must go. John Kerry, Barack Obama, they all said Assad must go. He ain't going anywhere. And not only is he not going anywhere, he's staying, and the Iranians are going to build a highway from Tehran to the Mediterranean. And so ISIS is an afterthought at this point, and they're in wreckage. I mean, they're now mocking us, shooting videos in wreckage. And if this guy sounds petulant and what's the word? Confrontational, just know this: he's got one leg. If he is American, and I don't buy that this accent is American, but if he is American, he's never coming back here. And if we're lucky, he'll be killed in the wreckage there. How do we extricate ourselves from there? I don't know. One way is to just simply cut off all the people who helped us, the Syrian Kurds and the Syrian Sunni Arabs that were fighting ISIS for us, because we were never in the rebellion. That was part of the reason Assad didn't have a problem with NATO violating his airspace every day for 2 years, because we weren't bombing his guys. And if we did, we apologized. It was an accident, because after all, it is his country and his airspace. And he could have said to Barack Obama in the UN, get out of my country. You have no legal right to be there, because we didn't. But Assad is not stupid. And Putin said, you know what? If NATO wants to kill ISIS dudes, let them kill ISIS dudes. If they want to move mud, let them move mud. We'll give them targets. You know what the hell? They're using our target. We'll give them fake targets. We'll give them targets and that will be non-ISIS, but they'll be enemies of you. They'll be the so-called rebellion. So that's what happened. So anyway, as is a sideshow. Will they ever find this guy? I don't know. This guy sounds like maybe he spent some time in the U.S. at some point, but it doesn't sound to me like American English is his original language. I don't know. I'm not. Do you have an opinion, Deborah Mark? Could he be an American? Maybe does he have? Is it just simply a speech impediment that we're missing here, and that's an American with a speech impediment? It sounds like an accent to me. That's all I'm saying. Shut up, dog of Rome. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, dog of Rome. Oh, dog of Rome. Sounds like a love poem. Thank you. And speaking of that, a dead whale. We'll get to that here in just a second. Also, North Korea. And you know why? Because they cannot, so far, they can't determine the gender of the dead whale in Long Beach. And obviously, you just look for the San Diego. We'll be back right after this. It is the John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. Deborah Mark with the news. See, that's a whale's vagina.
Rent gouging in areas scorched by wildfires. Brown says landlords can only raise rent by 10% for the next 6 months. Landlords who break prices face jail time and fines. The Department of Justice has charged 2 Romanian nationals for allegedly hacking the Washington, D.C. Police Department surveillance cameras days before President Trump's inauguration. The feds say the 2 did it as part of a ransomware scheme. They were arrested in Romania about 2 weeks ago.
We are almost 2 hours under our belts.
They're expected for tomorrow. 2 are among Trouble on the 210, and we will check in with the KFI in the sky next.
I know, that's got to be a new KFI Wi-Fi record.
Have you tried to get a mortgage since then and been turned down? Or maybe you haven't even tried because your credit score is stuck at 585, or your tax returns have too many write-offs. Well, CashCom Mortgage has great news for you. We've just introduced programs for people who've been told no. And what's doubly exciting is that we can solve your mortgage problems with no closing costs.
Yeah, if you don't know this, Rosie O'Donnell and Ben Shapiro have been in a Twitter war since last week. Because Rosie told Ben Shapiro to suck her dick, which is funny because she don't have no dick. But Ben Shapiro complained to Twitter about her and said, hey, if this is not abuse, what is? You know, if this is not a personal, threat to violence, what is? And Twitter came back and said, this does not violate our criteria, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so anyway, we'll be doing the YouTube, but I need Patreon because I have to construct a better set, and then I have a guy, I have a lighting guy and an editing guy, and the way to do it is, frankly, you don't do live all the time. You do live every once in a while, unless I'm actually on the air. Otherwise, it would be recorded, at 8 in the morning, and then it would be edited, and it would be up and available by 9. And that, hey, we're in LA, we know that costs money, so I would have to go on Patreon. and that's the deal is, on Patreon, you can pledge 50 cents a month, right? And if I get, 2,000 people to do 50,000 a month, that's going to pay for the lighting and the editing and all that. But I am not going to, pay out of pocket to build out a studio and all that, make it look good. So we are doing that. And that's the thing. I like my Kim Jong-un clock and the set I have right now. But I have too many people who are in the business who hate that. And I said, you know what? If you know anything about YouTube, if you know anything about some of the high subscription YouTubers, they are in their basement, and it's the weight of their words and their expressions and all that is bringing in viewers, and not, how slick the set is. Yeah, so, and then I do Facebook Live every once in a while. The deal is what we kind of found out the hard way is that YouTube's monetization, which initially the idea was that YouTube monetization would fund a YouTube channel. If you don't get about 10,000 subscribers, and I'm at like 3,000 subscribers, an average of 19 minutes, and that's pretty great. But YouTube's monetization does, it does not pay unless you start getting in the 10 and 20,000 subscribers. One thing I can do, and I can totally cockblock YouTube on this, is that I can go to, Galpin Mazda, and I can do a live promo for the new Mazda CX-9, and YouTube can't get a piece of that. YouTube is not going to put up a blocking ad, or a billboard. I can, in the middle of a rant, I can say, hey, go to Galpin Mazda in Santa Clarita and tell them this secret word, and and you'll get $500 off, for a Mazda CX-9 or something like that. That's just brainstorming. But there's a way to go around YouTube, and do basically live endorsements. Question is, have I been to the Ye Old Curiosity Shop down there on the waterfront? Yeah, I have. Haven't been there in a while. And I do know there's a whale dick in there. There's a giant whale dick. And then there's a mummified guy that they found out in the desert in Nevada, and he's got a bullet hole in him. And he's just going, no idea who he is. Up at Gorman on I-5, right before you get to the Grapevine, if you take the Gorman exit going northbound, and you take that exit and go straight, there's a tiny little, shitty strip mall. There's a marketplace antique store, and it says right on the window, antiques, cookware, sporting goods, skulls. And they do. They have old medical school cadaver skeletons in there. But I had to go in. My daughter and I are there, and I'm like, skulls. So we went in and we saw the skulls. And we took turns pissing into the skull's ocular cavity. This way to the mess hall. All right, what movie did I just do? What movie? I'll give you a clue. I was John Johnson, but everyone here calls me Vicky. What movie is that? Come on. So I Married an Axe Murderer. That was Phil Hartman. The late, great Phil Hartman. Probably the funniest 2 minutes, I think, of the 80s. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the 90s. Was Phil Hartman as John Johnson, the park ranger at Alcatraz, who used to be a guard at Alcatraz, but everyone here calls me Vicky. My God, that's so funny. Should I get the bumper? All right, we're back. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. It is the John and Ken Show, and I'm streaming on the YouTube. If you go to unsheepyourself.com, unsheep, S-H-E-E-P, unsheepyourself.com, you can see the live stream, and we're having lively conversations during the commercial breaks. So the defector from 2 months ago has been transferred to a South Korean military hospital because there's a credible threat on the guy's life because he embarrassed Kim Jong-un and the regime, and they have a history of assassinating their enemies and kidnapping people that they want. His dad, Kim Jong-il, famously kidnapped the top director in South Korea, and then the number one actress, who was his wife, kidnapped a director, and his actress wife brought them to North Korea to make movies. True story. And they wound up making sort of a Godzilla ripoff as well. So to say that they take insults personally is an understatement, and defecting from South Korea in such a public fashion was a tremendous embarrassment to the North. Well, then along comes, and so that guy had 5 bullets in him. By the time they got him to a hospital, he had 5 bullets in him. The South Koreans were doing these daily press conferences, and in one of the press conferences, like 4 days into the surgery on the guy, the South Korean doctor revealed that the defector, who came from a very, well-treated, well-fed army unit, the guys guarding the border get better food, better living conditions, the whole thing, because they're thought to be more trustworthy. Nevertheless, as they were operating on his intestines, when they opened up his bowels, they were filled with roundworms. So the guy defected, and so did several hundred roundworms. And many of them want to go back. And so a week and a half ago, another guy defected, only this time he didn't defect at the famous Treaty Village, where you always see those, the face-offs with the North Korean and the South Korean soldiers wearing sunglasses and all that. That's a specific thing called the Treaty Village. The entire border area, called the Demilitarized Zone, goes from the Sea of Japan to the Yellow Sea, and it's about 1 kilometer wide. It's one of the world's largest wildlife preserves, as it turns out. There's tigers in there and stuff. So anyway, a North Korean soldier walked through that, because it's not a minefield. It's not like the world's largest minefield. It's a demilitarized zone. So a defector, a week and a half ago, walks through there, knocks on the door. I'm from North Korea, I wish to defect. And the South Koreans are surprised. They take him in, immediately report him. And the first thing that happens is he begins his debriefings, but he's given a pretty thorough physical, because the bodies of the defectors, I mean, the living bodies, 99% of North Korean defectors go through China. And then they take a puddle jumper to Bangkok, Thailand, and then the South Korean government flies them to South Korea, where they start their new life. But they always undergo a really thorough physical exam. And so this defector, a week and a half ago, the first thing that jumped out about him was that he had anthrax antibodies. And that means one of two things. He was exposed to anthrax, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. It's not likely that you would survive in North Korea if you were exposed to anthrax. Or thing two, he was inoculated against anthrax. Now, if he was inoculated against anthrax, that's pretty ominous, because that's expensive. And why would they do that unless they knew something? And it is the Washington Post 3 weeks ago did a story about, never mind North Korea's nukes. They were very low-key about developing biological weapons. You know, if you're going to develop a nuclear program, at some point you got to test them. You can't hide that. So 6 tests on, we're pretty sure that they have developed an H-bomb. But we don't know about, they don't test the bioweapons outside of the lab. But it is suspected that they have many thousands of tons of bioweapons that are in artillery shells, rocket shells, etc. And this is not something that kills immediately. It kills over weeks. But one of the things that you do is you inoculate your own side against anthrax. Why do I know that? Because since the War on Terror began, every American soldier has been vaccinated against anthrax. In fact, there were lawsuits about it. And why did they do that to us? Just in case Saddam used anthrax against us in 2003. He did not. But, you know, at least if it happens, you know, many of you will die, but I'll be okay. So anyway, it is an ominous sign. And we'll talk more about North Korea coming up, because the Trump administration it seems like there's too many leaks coming out about what is in the future for North Korea and the United States. It's the John and Ken Show, KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. I don't know how long my battery's going to last. That's the one thing about streaming videos, that it does take up a lot of battery. I got to change one TV to local, because we have both cable boxes down here, not in my pants, but under the desk. And so I'm watching some lame bowl game, you know, over there. But I got to get some local news on. I'll be back in a second. Okay. I haven't seen it. The question was, what do I think about the GOP presidential newsletter? What did it say? Can I Google it? Let me see. I know it's really stupid. They put both cable boxes right on top of each other instead of separated like that. So you have to get right up on it like that. You got to put the remote right up against the one that you want to change and then scroll down on the guide. Or else you have two channels doing the same thing. Really, really stupid. Next big date is January 8th. That's Kim Jong-un's birthday. I want to say it's his 33rd birthday. 32 or 33rd. But that is the next big date. Yeah, that's the irony. iHeartMedia is a media company, but we can't have good enough Wi-Fi here in our flagship radio station, KFI, which is the #1 radio station in America with over 1 million listeners per day. And we're only streaming this because for some reason the Wi-Fi is having a good mood. We already lost it the first hour. So... The John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. 4 hours of rage will continue. If you're just joining us, the governor is going to make it official on January 1st. If you thought that it was a symbolic declaration of sanctuary statism or whatever, then wait till you hear the entire, when read one after another, the pro-illegal alien laws, and of course the LA Times says immigrant, sampling of immigration bills signed into law. No, they've got nothing to do with immigration. States don't regulate immigration. They're not immigration laws. So, hey, copy editor at the LA Times, you're fired. These are not immigration bills. They're anti-federal government bills. So we'll get into this because California on January 1st effectively is in open rebellion against the federal government. This happened. I know it's time for the wacky kicker story. By the way, We'll get back to the outrage here in a second. A woman accused, this is just a nightmare date. We have a wealthy attorney, Tony Busby, is Buzbee. Tony Busby, a Houston attorney. Perhaps you know him. I didn't know this. He's a high-profile attorney, which is a long way of saying rich, who led the defense in former Texas Governor Rick Perry's abuse of power case, which was later dismissed. He also made headlines recently for parking a World War II tank in his River Oaks neighborhood. That's wacky. Well, anyway, the guy, a rich guy, I guess he's got it going on, got his money, the whole thing. He's got a bit of fame. He can park a tank, whatever. But he is on a dating app, and he's going on blind dates, going on first dates. And I would imagine he might delete Tinder after this one. A woman accused of destroying 3 paintings and 2 sculptures belonging to Houston attorney Tony Busby and causing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage appeared in court. Lindy Lehman, 29, has been charged with criminal mischief. According to details that came out in court, Lindy and attorney Tony Busby were on a date Saturday, and so that's Christmas Eve. Anyway, they're on a date Saturday when she became heavily intoxicated, and they returned back to his house. I don't know if this guy's been on the market or whatever, but that's the wrong move. If she is that hooched up, you Uber her out of the restaurant. You don't say, let's go back to my place where I can Uber you out of there. Anyway, Mr. Busby, he brings her back to his palatial pad filled with very expensive art. And she's heavily intoxicated. He believed that she was too intoxicated to do whatever he wanted to do and called an Uber driver to pick her up. She allegedly refused to leave, and she ran away and hid in his home. That's when he called a second Uber driver and said, do you have any Samoans to send somebody huge? So now he's got a second Uber coming to the house. Per the information read in court today, Lindy Lehman, 29-year-old drunk woman, was aggressive toward the second Uber driver, walked back into Mr. Busby's home and shouted, "I'm not leaving." That's when she allegedly poured red wine on his paintings and ripped them off the wall, then threw his sculptures on the ground, breaking them. The paintings apparently included an Andy Warhol original. So it was like a soup wrapper with Marilyn Monroe's face on it or whatever. But who cares? So someone paid an assload of money for it. According to court documents, the estimate for the resulting damage of original oil paintings and 2 sculptures broken by Ms. Lehman, $300,000. She posted a $30,000 bond. And as I say, he is a high-profile attorney who defended Texas Governor Rick Perry. And I suppose you know him. It's one of those things where you know him if you're in Houston. But I don't. Even out of curiosity, I haven't looked him up. And I know nothing about him. But I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna take a bet. Wealthy, single, using dating apps, goes on a blind date with a 29-year-old. My over/under on this is that he is no younger than 50. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this guy, he's got the money, he's single, there's no one in his life to tell him no. He swipes yes, whatever, on a 29-year-old. I say he's 50. He's 50 or north. Deborah Mark. That's so cheap. You're hedging your bet. You're hedging your bet just okay. All right, and now, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Viverka with the age of Tony Busby. Ow! Oh, damn it! So anyway, but you see my reasoning on this, though, right? Given the choice, a guy in that position is like, why not go on a blind date with a 29-year-old? Oh, you'll barely. Probably had a birthday today, the arraignment. If he's 50, I bet by now. But anyway, we'll be back in a minute. Yes, pro-immigration, pro-illegal alien. You live in a state that is, with one hand, flipping off the federal government and with the other asking for wildfire emergency money. And wait till you get the scale of this. I'll help you wrap your heads around just. Guess what? Yeah, we lost the Wi-Fi signal again. A Border Patrol agent was shot and wounded on the border today. Border with Mexico, I should point out. I hate those. You know what? Someone doesn't like me doing this for pages and says they're going to get me one of those damp sponges that, office drones work. Those things are bacteria culture dishes. They're gross. Is the Holiday Bowl tonight? Hey, can I get the bumper? All right, I am queued up. Does everybody know about sadtrombone.com? KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. It is a John and Ken show until 6 o'clock when, let me tell you, the Holiday Bowl kicks off, everybody. And in case you're not too footballed out by the Camping World Bowl, I'm not promoting other media products, I'm just saying that's what's on. So the border is going to come into sharp focus, I'm guessing, once the rest of the country was able to wrap its mind around the package of laws that go into effect at 12:01 a.m., January 1st, 2018. And by coincidence, a re-entering illegal alien who's been deported, I think, 5 times at the age of 28, was arrested trying to get into the U.S. On Sunday at Ocotillo, which is like out by El Centro. And I forgot the guy's name, and I didn't have the story, and so I did a pretty specific Google search, and I did illegal alien, sex offender, Riverside, Ocotillo, 2017. And enter. Whoops, the wrong guy. A different one came up from just about 4 weeks ago. U.S. Border Patrol agents assigned to the El Centro sector, this is from the media center of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, At approximately 2:10 a.m., Border Patrol agents patrolling 26 miles west of the Calexico port of entry, blah, 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 encountered a man who was illegally present in the United States. Agents arrested the man and transported him to the Calexico station for processing. Who did he turn out to be? Well, agents conducted record checks and identified the man as Hector Macedo Ariano. The man had been previously convicted of sexual battery on August 22nd, 2011. Ruining my birthday, I should point out. Which he was sentenced to 2 years probation and time served in jail. Okay? Illegal alien, sexual battery. We're going to go ahead and put you on probation after time served. Furthermore, record checks revealed that Macedo subsequently was ordered removed by an immigration judge on September 1st, 2011. Anyway, he came back in. And here's what they're going to get him for: re-entry after removal. He'll be prosecuted for re-entry after removal, and that's not a birth control method. But that wasn't the guy that I was looking for. This is the guy that I was looking for. This is the story I was looking for, because this came out yesterday. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested a previously deported sex offender with victims in Riverside who re-entered the country near Ocotillo on Sunday. According to the Border Patrol, agents tracked the man after he crossed the border and took him into custody. Javier Reyes Gomez, a 28-year-old Mexican citizen, has 3 felony convictions for sexual acts performed on a minor. Among Reyes Gomez's convictions is a charge of lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14. According to Border Patrol agents, Reyes Gomez was previously sentenced to 56 months in jail for the crime. That'd be here in California. You're welcome. So back in March of 2002, he was ordered deported by an immigration judge. So this 56 months was juvenile time, and I'll tell you why in a second. And he served it, then he was deported in 2002. He did come back in several other times. Assistant Chief Patrol Agent David Kim said, quote, "This offender victimized children in Riverside, a community not very close to the border. This serious criminal will not get a chance to return to Riverside and potentially victimize anyone else," close quote. So according to the Border Patrol, he'll be prosecuted for re-entry after removal as a convicted sex offender. But the other guy, from the official Border Patrol press release, he just gets prosecution for re-entry after removal. So anyway, I just point that out because those are examples, by the way, of the border working, keeping out. So you can take all your Eric Garcetti. We'll talk about him in a minute. All your Eric Garcetti, hardworking family men, just trying to feed their family and join us as Angelinos here in the City of Angels, and you can take all that sympathetic crap and throw it out. This guy is the kind of guy who pretty much should be a poster boy for why we have a Border Patrol. And we got him. And then several weeks before, the other guy, he was the other poster boy for why we have a Border Patrol. To keep sex offender, illegal aliens out of the country. And so, fresh off that news, you're going to want to know all about the laws that come into effect on January 1st, 2018. Senate Bill 54. This is the Kevin De Leon baby, by the way. This aims to prevent local law enforcement officers from assisting the federal authorities by restricting communication and coordination between local officers and federal agents about people in custody. The Border Patrol is stretched pretty damn thin. And part of the model, part of the reason the Border Patrol is not 400,000 people and that they're not driving all around California, New Mexico, and Arizona in tanks is because they can count on the cooperation and assistance of local law enforcement. Well, not California anymore. A sworn officer in California cannot pick up the phone anymore and call Border Patrol. They're breaking the law. If they call the relevant authority, the Border Patrol, about someone who is in their wheelhouse, like an illegal alien, that cop in California, that deputy in California, they're committing the crime. Not the illegal alien who was arrested. The cop or deputy that calls the Border Patrol and says, "We got a guy, and he's going to make bail on Monday," or whatever. That cop just broke the law. Those are the people wearing the people who are sworn to protect and serve you. They're breaking the law if they assist or cooperate in enforcing federal law as of January 1st. And that's just the beginning of these. Wait till you hear that what employers have to do before immigration comes and checks employment records. They're going to be fined if they don't do this thing, if they don't give a heads up to the employees. And I'll tell you how many days and hours when we come back. Also, we're going to check in with John Thomas, our political dude. Yes, Eric Garcetti is running for the nominee for the Democratic Party to be president. This is a done deal. If you can't figure this out, we'll talk with John Thomas in a second, but I'll tell you also when we come back how many days you as an employer have to give your employees heads up before immigration can read their records, which is their right. Back right after this, it is the Johnny Kent Show. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. Deborah, Mark with the news.
Victims were a boy, 11 years of age, a girl, 5 years of age, and 2 adult females, ages 22 and 36. There was a relationship between the 2 adults and the children, were the children of one of these girls.
The chief would say how the 4 were killed, but called the crime the worst act of savagery he has seen in 4 decades on the job. A woman has been banned from the town she lives in west of London because of some bad behavior. She rode naked on a motorbike through the center of town, had sex with a man for money in full view of a woman and her kids, and punched a blind man. She also assaulted 2 cops who tried to arrest her. The judge who sentenced her last week to 13 months in jail called her a mess. Traffic from the helpful SoCal Honda Traffic Center crash on the 5 in Burbank.
That's going to be the 5 freeway northbound side of Western Avenue. It looks like everything just cleared to the right shoulder, but overall things are going to be pretty tough as you're coming away from the 10. Thanks to David who called, Ralph City inside traffic light, AAA 500 by 003. Average.com presents Mike O'Brien, KFI in the sky, and slowing out of East LA.
Yeah, pretty typical stuff, too. The 60 eastbound loading it right off the East LA interchange. Starting about the 710, the worst of it. Through Bonneville into Whittier Narrows, it's very tough. You get a little break there through the 605, and back on the brakes most of the way from Hacienda Heights through the 57. Verge, South 710, a lot of slowing leading to 60 through Florence as well. In a wreck, call Averitt, Mike O'Brien, KFI in the sky.
And the problem continues through West LA. Westbound side of the 10 before the 405, stalled out bus in the right lane, things are back up to La Cienega. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jay Lee. Attention, this is an investor notice. Are you interested in making some extra cash buying real estate tax liens? Then listen to this. The Government Tax Lien Network is offering a free tax lien kit, which contains 2 DVDs and a step-by-step report that will show you how to earn guaranteed returns between 15 and 35% yearly, which is completely secured by the government. They'll even show you how to do this inside your own retirement accounts. So if you're looking to become a real estate investor without risk, then call 1-800-403-3696 now to get your free tax lien kit. Then get ready to buy tax liens for pennies on the dollar and buy houses for as low as $500, all from your home with little or no money, working only 5 to 10 hours per week. Call 800-403-3696 right now to get your free tax lien kit, plus 2 free tickets to a live training event and a free $20 Visa gift card just for attending. Call 800-403-3696. That's 800-403-3696 for your free tax lien kit now. Individual results may vary.
Southland weather from KFI. Mostly clear tonight, lows 40s and 50s. It will be sunny and warm again tomorrow. Other places in the low mid-80s. We lead local. I'm Deborah Mark.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.
Oh, I'm back, by the way. We're going to replay John Thomas. This is sort of a little secret. Is that I can't have John Thomas back on, but we talked to him at 2:30, so it's 4:30, and probably 95% of the audience has flipped over so I can replay that. And, you know, it's not fakey fake. You know, I can say we talked to him earlier, but why? It's just a distraction. Big Lou's on meds too. I have a thing in my eye. See that? KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. It is a John and Ken show, and we'll be joined by John Thomas here in just a minute. He's busy. He's filling in for Buck Sexton, which is on our distant cousin third remove station, The Patriot, 11:50 a.m. at 9 p.m. here. So you can hear John Thomas, 3 hours of unfiltered John Thomas tonight on The Patriot. All right, so here's the deal. Here's another law that takes effect on January 1st, 2018, making California, again, a not a de facto, a in facto sanctuary state. Big middle finger to the federal government, while we're also asking for billions in wildfire damage funds, emergency funds. It will take a warrant from a judge for federal agents to come to someone's workplace on an immigration raid. And employers can be fined for not giving workers a 72 hours notice that those agents will be inspecting employee records. What ICE does now is they invoke their authority and they say, we're going to come and look at your records. They get to do that. As a courtesy, sometimes they call ahead, but they don't have to do that. And so the state of California thinks somehow that it can regulate how federal authorities enforce federal law. I mean, this is heading for a crash. Just the notion that we have a supermajority in the assembly that passed this and does not see this going in front of even the Ninth Circuit, which is a federal thing, by the way. But the state can't usurp federal authority. Immigration law is a federal thing. And you can't fine a California employer for not giving 3 days notice because the federal government is going to come and look at employee records and possibly detain some illegal aliens. But the LA Times has all these laws under a section called, for 2018, immigration. And again, these are not immigration. California can't pass immigration law. All right. He is on the phone. Guess who is running for president? It's we know this. He's going to run for the Democratic nomination, at least make a shot, and that is Mayor Eric Garcetti. John Thomas is our political guru, and he joins us from a secret location. JT, what's up?
Which is always the first step you would take whenever you're looking at.
See what's up? His pleasure is up.
It's really because.
Oh, I didn't give you double fingers.
Enough dollars in the bank, Brian.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I pivoted because I'm a pro.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
What was the question? Who's my barber? Wait, are you kidding, or do you really want to know? It actually is a really good barber, and they're really cheap, and it's in Palmdale, and I like them, and they're open Sundays. And you know what? They're open Mondays. And real barbers are not open on Monday, usually. But these guys are really, really good. And I'm like the only white guy that goes there. It's very Hispanic, super duper Hispanic flavored barbershop. I mean, literally every single barber is a Hispanic male or female, and all the patrons are Hispanic. And they're doing, those shave cuts on the side and then shave a part in their head and all that. And I don't do that. I just go in there and I just say sides and all that. So that's who my barber is. I forgot their name, though. Stand by.
The state level apparatchiks in Maine and Alabama and all that. And he's going everywhere. He's flying around the country endorsing your reelection. And when he does that, he meets your campaign manager and your state chairman and all that. So he is now becoming a 3D person to all these people that he needs on the East Coast and the whole schmear.
And that's right. And while his endorsement doesn't mean bupkis to these people in other states, his dollars do. And so that's another reason you start the PAC, so that you can start giving supportive gifts when these candidates or electeds who are in tight midterm elections need your support. You were there for them in not just an endorsement, but you were there for them with money when they needed the most, so that when you call for the favor to be returned, they'll be there for you. And that's why you really do need to get started about now, Brian, if you want to have the apparatus in place. And look, even President Trump understands that, and that's why he's regearing the direction of the job for the White House come January 1 to focus on not just the midterms, but his reelection. Not too early to start prepping the field.
Well, and the other thing is, people point out that never in American history has a mayor of a major city or a podunk town ever gone from mayor to the White House, and that his counter-argument is, Los Angeles is larger than 23 U.S. states. That's ironic to me because every one of those states is smaller than L.A. He would never have survived politically. He'd be run out of the state on a rail in his little limits. But he's saying that somehow, and we were saying off air, that a lot of people have the...
All right, my barber. Are you ready?
That Los Angeles is run well.
Correct.
They think that this town's run well.
Is called Best Barbershop. But it's in Palmdale, so if you're in Santa Clarita, it's not worth the drive. There's some good barbers. There's a great barber here in Burbank, down Alameda, almost to the Equestrian Center. Oh no, actually, if you go down Alameda and you're going to turn into the Equestrian Center, there's a strip mall, and there's a barbershop in there, and it's these two classic old dudes. And I mean, they have been barbers in Burbank for 60 years, right? And I mean, they've got Playboys, and the whole schmear. But the cool thing is you can go in the back and mix your own drink while you're waiting. You can go, they have a wet bar in the back, and you go back there and you mix your own drink and you wait around. And you just shoot the shit with these guys. These old Burbank dudes are in there, these old Lockheed workers and stuff. And the guy had to move from his old place into this strip mall, but it's a great barbershop. It's just really classic. And then the one, excuse me, the one that I cannot denounce enough is in Fairfax Market. I love the Fairfax Market. Okay, I do. I love walking around the Fairfax Market. They have some great little bars in there. In the main food court, there's a great bar at the Fairfax Market. It's a really cool place to hang out. I like it. And then there's a Spanish tapas bar with these amazing appetizers in the Fairfax Market. And then there's a Starbucks, and next to the Starbucks is this total hipster millennial barbershop. And they're totally old school, right? They use old razors and all this stuff. They use all the stuff that if you search around for a real old barber, probably some old Hispanic guy, you'll find that same haircut for, you know, a different price. But of course, because it's Fairfax Market and it's a, you know, millennial hipster place, it's like, no shit, it's like a $50 market. And they have all these old black and white framed pictures of old boxers. And one of the pictures that they have up is actually Mickey Cohen. And if you're getting all hipster in the Fairfax Market giving haircuts, and the one time I'm sitting there and I said, Mickey Cohen. And the guy didn't know who Mickey Cohen was. And, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute. You know, I thought I thought you guys are supposed to be the really cool insiders, you know, barbershop here at Fairfax Market. And they had a framed picture of Mickey Cohen up, and nobody knew who it was. And so that's the point, you know, where it's so phony. It's such a put on. It's so fake. You know, and they're wearing jeans that are rolled up at the cuff. They're wearing like loggers boots. And I don't do that. So anyway, at the place I go to in Palmdale, great haircuts. They always have either the NFL on or some sports or a classic movie. And $20, a $20 bill pays for the haircut and gives the guy a $7 tip. So I have never left there. You know, with a big thank you and a great haircut. So I always go back because I would pay 20 plus a tip for the haircuts that they deliver. But I give them a 20 and I'm giving them a $7 tip.
So much on Eric Garcetti. Eric just didn't make a screw up getting through that process. But the budget that Wendy Brewer had to cull through all of the audio and video clips of Eric's entire tenure on the LA City Council was actually fairly minimal. The budget that, you got to crowdsource that. Well, they proposed in quotes, but they don't pull through every single quote they've ever said anywhere. When you're running for president, there's so much money floating out there, not to mention a huge press corps, that there will be an autopsy like you've never seen. I guarantee you there will be some things that Garcetti said 5-8 years ago that he regrets because he wasn't thinking about it in a 2018 or 2020 context.
And I'd like to make the possibility that America would have its first female president. All right, well, you break the leg on the Buck Sexton show. Heard that John Thomas, political consultant, he'll be on the Patriot 1150 at 9 p.m. filling in for Buck Sexton, and today and tomorrow. All right, we'll be back right after this. The John and Ken show. My name here, filling in.
Actress Rose Marie just got on the Dick Van Dyke show last night. Her official website says the actress died today in Van Nuys. She was 94. A man suspected of shoplifting in South Carolina has been the guy was busted at a Walmart store on Christmas Eve. Cops say he had thousands of doses of heroin, some pills, a gun. He also had 2 human teeth in his backpack. Afghan officials say a suicide bombing in Kabul has killed at least 41 people who gathered at a Shiite cultural center. Dozens more have been hurt, many of them with severe burns. ISIS has claimed responsibility. Trouble on the 101, and we will check in with the KFI in the sky next.
Well, what? what's going on today, huh? What's that? The traffic is horrific, and at any moment you could end up in a car crash. Yeah, no kidding. Especially here we are at the holidays. Everybody's driving really nutty. The Sweet James team of attorneys are ready to help you if you get hurt in any kind of an accident. If you've been in an accident and you haven't dealt with it yet, call attorney Sweet James Bergener because you don't know what to do and you don't know who to call if your car's bashed up and you're all bashed up. It's 800-881-2021. 800-881-2021. We're talking about car, motorcycle, truck, animal bite, anything that happens to you along these lines, he can help. Tens of thousands of people have called their offices because KFI listeners can't drive. Really? They have won for accident victim clients over $400 million. That number is growing. No recovery, no fee. Choose the right lawyer. That's Sweet James. SweetJames.com. Call 800-881-2021. 800-881-2021.
Carl Satterwhite is the president of RCF Group and employs 100 people.
Tax reform will help businesses like ours compete. Sometimes it seems like nothing is done in Washington, but Congress delivered on tax reform.
Call Congressman Ed Royce and thank him for voting yes on tax reform. Paid for by Business Roundtable.
Southland weather from KFI. It will be sunny and warm again tomorrow with temps in the 80s. This report brought to you by Business Roundtable. Traffic from the helpful SoCal Honda Traffic Center crashed on the 101 in Calabasas.
South outside of Parkway, Calabasas, the right lane blocked. Things are loading up at Lost Hills. Stays pretty heavy off and on to the 134. Jammed up again from Hollywood Boulevard to the 10. Both outside, you're seeing those delays coming away from Hollywood Boulevard to just before the 170. Abercrombie presents Mike O'Brien, KFI in the Sky, looking at delays on the 405 delays on the 405 West LA.
Well, certainly both sides of the 405 flew through the 10 interchange. Most of the stuff I'm looking at now is on the Santa Monica freeway, the 10. Head westbound at the 405, the earlier accident cleared there. That actually has recovered quite nicely. It's a horse of a different color on the eastbound 10. That is jammed up right out of downtown Santa Monica, and you're pretty much on the brakes through East LA interchange at that point. Up ahead, more slowing from City Terrace out to Roseby Boulevard with a wreck clearing there. In a wreck, call after it. Mike O'Brien, KFI in the Sky.
This update brought to you by Caltrans, the work zone alert. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jay Wood.
Hey drivers, do your part to help protect the safety of Caltrans workers. When you see a Caltrans vehicle on the road ahead with flashing amber lights, move over if it's safe to do so, or slow down. It could save a life. Flashing lights means move over. It's the law.
Dunkirk is a huge story. It's certainly the most challenging film that I've made. To try and stage these things for real requires a team. This is a level of experience.
Entertainment Weekly raves Nolan's Dunkirk is an epic achievement. The very definition of what cinema can and should be.
When you watch them in the cinema, you're experiencing something that you couldn't experience anywhere else.
The New York Times, Rolling Stone, Entertainment Weekly, and AP called Dunkirk the best film of the year.
We had huge storms and it was wet, it was cold, but I mean, we were shooting our best material there.
What do you see? Home.
Consider in all categories.
Through the way that Chris has constructed the screenplay, the audience gets a unique perspective.
Nominated for 3 Golden Globes and 8 Critics' Choice Awards.
He lights up the imagination in a way that the audience will intuit.
Winner of the year's best films by AFI.
He is the definition of a filmmaker.
Dunkirk, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Ring in the new year with a gift from Edible Arrangements. Make your New Year's Eve celebration sweeter than ever with gourmet chocolate dip fruits starting at only $19. That's right, just $19. Your friends, family, and party guests will love sharing a freshly crafted fruit arrangement or chocolate dip fruit box as they're counting down till midnight. And if one of your New Year's resolutions is to eat more fruit, stop by an Edible store near you to try a freshly made fruit salad, parfait, or smoothie made to order on the spot. Visit your local Edible Arrangement store or edible.com today to place your order.
The sum above difference is options. At Jersey Mike's, you'll find all kinds of chicken cheesesteaks. Some Philly, some bacony, all fresh off the grill tasty. Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.
Back, knee, joint, or muscle pain? Please listen to this important message. Clinical Pain Relief Cream is finally available direct without a prescription, and 1-month trials are currently available while supplies last. Simply rub Clinical Cream onto your back, knees, joints, or muscles for soothing, rapid relief that's 100% guaranteed and can be felt in just minutes, even after the very first application. This is the only Clinical Pain Relief Cream available direct without a prescription at clinicalcream.com. And remember, clinicalcream.com is recommended only for those people that need rapid relief from back, knee, joint, or
or muscle pain. 1 month trial supplies are limited but currently still available. Go to clinicalcream.com right now and see all the 5-star reviews.
Okay, we'll be doing radio.
Guaranteed in just minutes after the very first application. Visit clinicalcream.com for your trial before they're sold out.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm from London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for seniors.
We are coming up on the
A free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living
final hour of the John and Ken Show. Have you guys noticed that I don't say my name? K-Rock 1992. So 92 K-Rock. And then a 1 year break, 98, 99 when I was in Bosnia. I got into talk radio when I get back from Bosnia at Cairo and Seattle. Then 2002, I went to OCS and Field Artillery Officers Basic Course. And I went from there directly back to my brigade because we've been mobilized for Iraq. So I was gone from June of 2002. OCS 2002. 6 months at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 2003, which turned into 18 months in Iraq. So I was off talk radio for 2 years, right when I got a morning show at KVI in Seattle. So I went to Iraq, and the show was doing really well. I loved it. Then I disappeared for 2 years. So I've restarted my career 3 times. I'm not bitter about it because you played the hand you're dealt. But I went to high school with Glenn Beck. He went to Everett High School. I was at Port Angeles High School. I knew him in high school through Boy State and Youth in Government. And, the guy was a goof-ass pothead. And then he was a grab-ass music DJ forever. And then he converted to talk radio host. And, he knew a lot of people, had a lot of backing. I don't begrudge him his success. And I certainly know I'm far more stable than he is. But I don't complain about that. I had a choice. I could have gotten out of the Army. I didn't have to go in. I did what I did. Hey, and you know what? I have better parking than Glenn Beck because I stood too close to the mortar. The John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk, and we'll late entry to the Ghoul Pool, and we'll give you some dates that you have to have for 2018. We'll tell you when the window opens up on this one, and there is still Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's 3 more days to go. So if you made your picks, and some of your picks have not come through, if you know what I'm saying, then you still have 3 more days to go. If you picked Rosemarie, then you got that going. Next hour, I'll play you some highlights. Rosemarie, I know who she is because my parents used to watch the Dick Van Dyke Show in reruns when I was a kid. And so a Hollywood legend, Rosemarie, dead. And you'll if you don't know who that is, if it doesn't ring a bell, I'll play some audio for you next hour. It will ring a bell. Great news for you, Deborah Marks. Yeah. January 1st, 12:01 a.m., you have your first official California state dinosaur, and it's a vegetarian. The first vegetarian, California's first vegetarian, gets a formal title, Augustinophilus morrisi, a plant eat, and I'm guessing some other state has already grabbed the T-Rex or raptors or a cool dinosaur, but we get a vegetarian. It's not cool. Now this is a leaf eater. This was meat to the cool dinosaurs. This was meat. But I don't, whatever. I understand what a pressing issue it is for the state assembly to come up with an official state dinosaur. By the way, I would have just painted a giant sign on the governor's door, but that's me. See, because he's very old. And it wouldn't say governor is out. It would say governor is on front lawn rubbing feces into his forehead because he's crazy. But so anyway, we're going to go with a dinosaur. It's a vegetarian. That's the official dinosaur of California. So everyone, please enjoy. When we come back, Rosemarie, and also, what are the odds if you're digging your fallout shelter? How deep should it go, and how serious should you take it? Here, as we close out 2017, really, truly, no kidding, cards on the table. How close are we really to crossing swords with a nuclear power called North Korea? That and more coming up. The John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk.
Legendary actress Rosemarie Mazzetta has died at 94 years old. She became the first major star to be known simply by her first name and was best known for her role on The Dick Van Dyke Show. I played Sally Rogers, who was one of the writers of the show. In fact, I was the first women's lip art that was ever on television. Rosemarie also portrayed Myrna Gibbons on The Doris Day Show and was a frequent panelist on the game show Hollywood Squares. She started performing at just 3 years old and went on to have one of the longest careers in show business. Governor Brown has issued a warning to landlords: no rent gouging allowed. The warning is for those who own properties close to areas ravaged by wildfires. Those wildfires tore through huge sections of California this year, destroying homes and apartments from San Diego to LA and north to Napa and Sonoma. Thousands were left searching for a home or apartment to rent. But the governor says landlords can only raise rent by 10% for the next 6 months. After that, landlords can face jail time and fines. Price gouging in disaster areas also applies to gas, food, and other essential supplies. Monica Ricks, KFI News. The CHP has warned high rollers about DUIs after marijuana legislation.
Freeway signs say drive high, get a DUI. The warnings have to do with recreational pot becoming legal next Monday. Officer Juan Galvan says driving high is similar to driving drunk.
They all have exhibit the same precursors, whether it be weaving, lethargic speech, you can smell it. When they run them through the same test, the only thing that we do not have is the breathalyzer.
He says some people might not understand that they could get a DUI after recreational marijuana becomes legal. Andrew Mullenbeck, KFI News.
The LA County Sheriff's Department says violent crime is way down this year compared to 2016. That includes a 20.5% decrease in homicides. The number of arrests for sex trafficking were up. Sheriff Jim McDonald attributes it to the Sheriff's Department's Human Trafficking Bureau.
Equally important was the 76 victims, mostly children, who were rescued from a life of exploitation that very few of us can even imagine.
The Sheriff's Department says there were about 3,600 fewer violent and property crimes over the past year compared to last year. Rapes were down 4.5%, robberies were down 2.3%, aggravated assaults dropped 2.2%, and burglaries were down 2.4%. Forecasters say the warm spell across SoCal is expected to let up for the New Year's weekend. Woodland Hills set a record yesterday with a high of 86 degrees. The National Weather Service says the warmth is coming from a ridge of high pressure combined with winds flowing out of the
All right, now I'm back. I'm going with the Ballast Point grapefruit sculpin. Am I in queue?
Played Sally Rogers, who was one of the writers of the show. One of the writers of the Alan Brady Show, which is who we wrote for. Dick was head writer, and Maury was another writer, and I was the other writer. I was not a secretary. I was a writer. In fact, I was the first women's lib part that was ever on television. I made the same money the boys made. We were all equal, and I was a writer. I was not a secretary. I think Carl tried to pattern me after Selma Diamond, who was a writer on the Sid Caesar show. But my own personality came out, and I think he just wrote for that. I just played me, really. Yeah, that's a...
There seem to be more commercials than usual. I don't know if this is because we're making up here at the end of the year for commercials that we had to bounce out for breaking news. But, consider in radio, our business model, which is broken, is our inventory is the time that we're not talking live. My product is listeners, not content. That's how that works. Well, let me tell you. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. The John and Ken Show, hour number 4. And they haven't identified the floating whale in Long Beach yet. Doesn't look like a real big one. They don't even know the gender. But we will certainly get that to you. If it breaks before 6 p.m., we will absolutely get that to you before the necropsy. And we'll also, a pretty important topic, are we really going to get kinetic with North Korea, as they say? Is there going to be a shooting war in the next few weeks into 2018? But Hollywood star TV comedian Rose Marie, and do we say that anymore? The Oscars don't say actress anymore. Am I part of the problem if I say comedian? Comedian, right? But it used to be comedian Rose Marie. And besides, the gender-neutral title, if the problem is identifying her gender, well, it's comedian Rose Marie. So not a lot of dudes named Rose. Beloved actress and comedian of the Dick Van Dyke Show, which, I'm playing with the pain here. I don't remember it. Never saw it. And this is, I don't know, is this the one with Mary Tyler Moore? Is that the Dick Van Dyke Show? Wasn't there one later in the 60s with a different setup? But anyway, in the Dick Van Dyke Show, it's a show about a guy who has a comedy show, and then he comes home to Mary Tyler Moore and all that. One of his writers, Rose Marie, played Sally Rogers, one of the comedy writers in the setup of the show. The other guy was Maury Amsterdam. And George Costanza's parents, I thought it was, supposedly it's been said that Costanza's parents in Seinfeld were based on Maury Amsterdam and Rose Marie. But anyway, here she is. And if you're wondering why I'm talking about this, it's because she died today here in Hollywood. And this is her remembering her character. And keep in mind, this is mid-50s, mid to late 50s. And this is like, Don Draper, Mad Men, sort of New York, and TV time when TV was live and women had certain roles and the whole thing. But this is Rose Marie discussing her groundbreaking character on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
I played Sally Rogers, who was one of the writers of the show. One of the writers of the Alan Brady Show, which is who we wrote for. Dick was head writer, and Maury was another writer, and I was the other writer. I was not a secretary. I was a writer. In fact, I was the first women's lib part that was ever on television. I made the same money the boys made. We were all equal, and I was a writer. I was not a secretary.
Boys? What are you, a sexist? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so Rosemary dead today, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to be some sort of ghoul and ask Nick, who's been doing the official accounting, does that put anyone over the top? It does not. No. So they wind up 1 and 2? Oh, just her. I thought you had to put 3 in. Oh, loser on the Kissinger thing. What? But there's 3 days to go. I want to be like those guys who buy airtime on our distant cousin station, KLAC, at Saturday morning at 5 a.m. Call me now. I have a winner, but you must call now. Because on my Ghoul Pool line, I have a guaranteed winner. I am 51-0 for 2017, but you've got to call now. Only the first 30 callers will get the trifecta. There's 3 days to go in 2017. You are foolish if you don't call me. This one will put you over the top. If you had, by the way, this 2017 is nowhere near 2016. 2016 was the, good Lord. And as this year has gone on, I've come to realize that actually the rapture happened in 2016 and only Prince and Bowie made the cut or something. But no, this has been, it's not even in mind. Who's the most prominent celebrity to kick in 2017? Because those were big. Yeah, I guess. And you know what? That's the thing, is that the big difference with 2016 is Bowie had just released an album. He had just released a pretty good album. You know what? Oh, you know what? I suck. I forgot about Don Rickles. That's a guy who just never got unfunny. That's a bummer. Thanks for turning my frown upside down. Yeah. No, he was great. And so, yeah, that's right. We lose Don Rickles. All right. Well, it's time to talk about nuclear war, kids. So here's the deal. To lay this out for you in clear terms. What's going on between the United States and North Korea, and really South Korea, the United States, Japan, and North Korea, is nothing new, and you can't put it on Trump. The prior president said a nuclear North Korea was unacceptable. His predecessor said a nuclear North Korea was unacceptable. And by the way, on George W. Bush's watch, after he announced North Korea was part of the axis of evil, he did nothing about it. The North Koreans at that point put their foot down on the gas to develop a nuclear weapon because they realized the second we successfully light off a bomb, even 10 miles underground, the second we have a nuke, it's like kryptonite. They will not touch us. Saddam's mistake was not pressing forward with the nuke. After the Israelis hit that reactor, he did build 2 more reactors, but he gave it up after the Gulf War. Saddam's mistake was not getting a nuke. Gaddafi had a nuclear program that no one knew about. And after we overthrew Saddam, Gaddafi said to the UN, I can't stay mad at you. Come and inspect me. I'm dismantling my nuclear program. He was far more advanced than anyone knew. And he gave it up. And look what happened to him. Saddam gave up his nuclear program. Look what happened to him. So this is reinforced for Kim Jong-un. I want to survive. My dad kicked the door down And he bought me 15 years. He lit off that nuke. Our job now is to go from A-bomb to H-bomb and to develop a way to get it to the United States. Because if he can't do that, he doesn't have a nuclear weapon. Whenever you hear that on the news, the nuclear-armed North Korea, they're not nuclear-armed. They would have to duct tape it to a donkey, okay? Until they can put it on a missile, all they're doing is blowing up their own mountains. That's all they're doing. And they can do that for the next 100 years. I don't care. But it's when they put it on a missile that can overcome the American ground-based mid-course defense system, the GMD missile system at Vandenberg and in Alaska. And again, spoiler alert, folks, I got bad news for you. You and I have paid $40 billion for 20 years for a missile system that would be able to stop some pissant country with only a handful of missiles. Well, you know what? We failed. We lose. He wins. He has a missile that can reach any part of North America. We do not have a missile that can guarantee an interception of that missile. And God forbid he fires more than one, because we've never tested our missile system on that. So that's where we're at, where we're in a position where we're saying it's unacceptable between now that you have a missile and you have an H-bomb, the period between you putting that bomb on that missile, that is the barn, that's us smelling the barn. The second you do that, we can't touch you. Between now and then, before you do that, before you weaponize that missile, we can touch you. And we're saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And we have gone so long that the North Koreans are realizing after 20 years, we're coming up on the 18th anniversary or 17th anniversary of being named part of the Axis of Evil. But we know we've been working on this before then. So now you're saying after 20 years to not do this? To not do the one thing that would prevent you from coming to war with us? Sorry. So we are at loggerheads. We say, don't do that. They say, why wouldn't we? What does that mean for you in 2018? I'll tell you right after this. It is the John and Ken Show. KFI AM 640 super segment. I was just joshing everybody. Dramatic pause. And now I will tell you what that means for 2018. Well, it means you should be very concerned. Because as part of an American national policy, and again, you can't say, well, stupid Trump, Trumpy, Trump, we're going to go to war. Hey, if Obama, if we were in sudden presidential death overtime and he got one more year, he would be in the same position because he said there will not be a nuclear North Korea. He didn't say, call me, let's discuss it. He said there won't be a nuclear North Korea. That can was kicked down the road for so long that we came to the point of no return. That the North Koreans, after billions of dollars that they don't have to spend, their people are starving because they're constructing and perfecting intercontinental ballistic missiles and H-bombs to go on them. Because that is, they have determined that is the key to their national survival. Not dismantling the program and getting a reward for doing it. It's the opposite. And we're telling them, you should maybe rethink this. And they're saying, after everything we've sacrificed, we're about to get the one thing that guarantees you will never drop a bomb on us. And you're saying no. So know this about North Korea. There's no negotiation, no matter what you're hearing. The rumors, that's a game they've been playing since the 90s with Bill Clinton. Oh, okay, we'll sit down and talk. And then you give us food and a bunch of money and we'll turn cameras on in our nuclear facilities. And then months later, they turn them off. No, you can't negotiate with the North Koreans, especially when their minds are fixed on something. And in this case, here's the weird part. This is the difference between 2018 and every year back to 1953. We have nothing the North Koreans want right now. They want to put that H-bomb on that missile more than they want 80,000 tons of beef, new hydroelectric, cell phone factory. They don't want that right now. What they want, we can't give them. In fact, what they want, we're trying to stop them from having. And so we have stated they're not going to have that. we have several months. I have watched the North Korean program, and the experts that I talked to in Monterey, the Middlebury Institute for Nonproliferation, we have watched with amazement that over the past 5 years, since Kim Jong-un has taken over for his dad, that the North Koreans don't bluster anymore. The North Koreans announce, we have a new missile system that will strike fear to the hearts of the capitalist running dogs and the dogs of Rome and, the rest of it. And then about a week later, they test it in public on HD cameras. They used to lie and say, oh, North Korea has a problem with obesity. That's how successful our system is. They don't do that anymore. They now truth. They say, we are at the dawn of a nuclear age for North Korea, the likes of which will strike fear to the Americans. And 2 days later, they test an H-bomb. Not an A-bomb, an H-bomb. They show a missile in a parade. Those used to be movie sets. You could actually see the paper mache, warping. No. Now they show a missile in a parade, and then they let American analysts spend about 2 weeks saying, that's fake. I mean, you can see the plywood. And then about 2 weeks later, whoop, look at that. It launched, and it flew for 53 minutes, 10 times higher than the International Space Station. So I'm convinced that when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. So we're now in that window in 2018 where they're going to do another H-bomb test. It will be the miniaturized one that will go on the missile. They might do a couple more missile tests. There's a possibility they might actually test the entire contraption. And they'd have to do it on their own soil, in their own airspace. I mean, literally, test an H-bomb on a missile on their own soil. And don't think anything is too crazy. Or Kim Jong-un has to trust his rocketeers and engineers, who are the rock stars of North Korea right now. And so the United States, according to leaks that are just a bit too leaky, a bit too prominent, coming from different sources, from the CIA, from Pentagon, and they all have their basic facts sort of in a row. So it's either a coordinated leak for the purpose of making the North Koreans see one final time how serious we are, or more likely, if it's a orchestrated leak, the audience is China, not North Korea, because we don't think North Korea is listening anymore. They're not listening anymore. So we're leaking this so that the Chinese go, wow, they're really serious, because the Chinese are watching. How many planes do we have on Guam? How many planes do we have on Okinawa? How many planes do we have in Japan? Because the United States is contemplating, according to rumor, what is being called a bloody nose strike. And this would be a 4 to 5 day concerted campaign on key North Korean facilities where they research or construct their missiles and or their H-bombs, their nuclear bombs. Not elementary schools, not hydroelectric dams, not train tracks, not playgrounds, but not just any military target, but specifically the nuclear targets, missiles and bombs. Where do they make them? Where do they research them? Where do they test them? Bomb those, take those out, leave smoking holes, and on day 5, announce that we have completed our task and we've taught North Korea a lesson. Worst case, they're kicked back 10 years, which is not true, and that they better stop developing nukes and talk to us at a negotiation table. And then, oh, by the way, part 2, if you retaliate, it will get worse. And this is all, the gamble here is that North Korea would actually sit there and watch 20 years of work go up in smoke and not retaliate. And then, by the way, they're not going to retaliate on San Pedro. They're going to retaliate with conventional weapons on South Korea. What are they going to do to California or the West Coast of the United States? Well, your lights might go out. And there might be an unexplained accident at the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir up in the Sierra Nevadas. You're up at Pacific Gas and Electric. And who knows? Maybe the vents all open up at Porter Ranch. Who knows? All we know is that the North Koreans pay very, very well their hackers. The North Koreans have thousands of people who are fed better than everybody else, who get internet access, etc. And their entire job is to sit there and test the internet infrastructure of the West, specifically the United States. And not just the Pentagon, not just some sort of denial of service at the Pentagon, but rather finding a backdoor into SoCal Edison, finding a way to shut off water to LA, shut off electricity to LA, shut off gas to San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, because that stuff is extremely vulnerable. Extremely vulnerable. It's not government run. And those public-private, hybrid companies just frankly don't have enough incentive in it. There's nothing in it for them to harden those control systems that are all computer controlled, all over the public internet. It's not like there's a private landline that goes from SoCal Edison's headquarters up to the Sierra Nevadas. It's over the interwebs. And, go ask Sony. Hey, Sony, did you protect your product, your digital product, your unreleased movies that you said were in vaults, Airfingers? You would lose a lot of money if those movies got pirated. How did you get hacked? What the hell? Ask Sony. Ask the Sony shareholders. What do you think about the competence of North Korean hackers? And that's just because they're fed well. That's because Kim Jong-un didn't want a movie released. Imagine if we're bombing the living crap out of his country and he doesn't want to learn the lesson. So this is serious stuff. I'm here to tell you. We're dancing around it like it's a distant possibility. The North Koreans don't take it as a distant possibility. The North Koreans think it will be happening soon. I mention that because we're between a window. Kim Jong-il, the middle Kim, the son of Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, he died on December 17th. They commemorate that in North Korea. They do births and Communist Party anniversaries. Those are the big ones. Death, not so much. Kim Jong-un's birthday is January 8th. And the expectation is that he's going to get a big birthday present. Either a nuclear test or another more realistic missile test. Well, one of the two. And it's their thinking is that would be a triggering event for this American air campaign. And that the orders have been given, the targets have been designated, all that matters is getting the pieces in place. And then, oh, by the way, it's kind of a big deal, getting all the American dependents out of South Korea. Never mind the civilians that work there. Several 100,000 Americans work in South Korea. But it's about 40,000 dependents, wives, families, husbands, who are not in the military, they're the dependents, are in South Korea. And the North Koreans are watching very close because the day 30 C-17s start flying across the Pacific to South Korea, the North Koreans assume that's the day before we attack North Korea. And in this day and age, that's almost impossible to hide. I mean, with handheld apps that I use to track airline traffic and military traffic, like Flight Radar 24, you can't hide the movement of military aircraft. You can't mask 30 C-17 flying into South Korea, and the North Koreans know that. So it's a tense time. No one's talking about it, but I just thought I would give you the briefing and let you know. I wish I had good news for you. I wish I could tell you, it's not happening in 2018. But the problem is the window between the North Koreans taking that H-bomb and putting it on that missile, it's closing fast. When we said 10 years ago they were 20 years away from being able to deliver a missile to North America, well, we were wrong by 100%. It turns out it's half that time. We've underestimated them all this time. We've kicked the can down the road and underestimated them. And we may be the ones to pay the price here in 2018. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, some of the new laws, firearms laws that are going to be coming into effect in 2018. Also, a Border Patrol agent was wounded. The bullet came from the Mexican side of the border. I'll tell you about that. And the latest on that dead whale, a whale watch when we come back. The John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. Deborah Mark with the news.
Epidemiologist Prabhu Gounder says he'd like to see more people get flu shots.
It is the single most effective way to reduce your risk of getting flu and reduce your risk of experiencing complications from the flu.
He says the flu has arrived earlier than usual this year. Health officials in LA County say flu-related deaths are up from last year, but they say it's too early in the season to make a big deal about that. Southern California may be sunny, but that's not the case in much of the United States. Arctic air has been settling in over the central U.S., spreading east. People in places like Chicago are trying to deal with the bitter cold.
Your hands, your fingers, your toes, all of that. It's rough on it.
Some people, like this woman, have been dealing with burst water pipes.
You know what it is to find your furniture floating in December? That's not fun. It's not a good way to wake up.
Here in Pennsylvania has seen more than 65 inches of snow from a recent storm. Apple has published a letter to customers apologizing for what the company calls a misunderstanding around older iPhones being slowed down. People freaked out recently, and lawsuits were filed when Apple admitted slowing down older iPhones to make up for degrading batteries. But Apple says it's never done anything to intentionally shorten the life of any of its products. Apple will offer a $29 replacement battery starting in late January. The company is also offering a $50 discount from the usual replacement cost. The FBI is weighing whether to charge two brothers who allegedly boarded a plane in LAX bound for Tokyo with a single boarding pass. ABC's Matt Gutman says the brothers may not be the only ones in trouble.
Also facing stiff questions will be the airline. Namely, how did it allow a passenger with a duplicate boarding card to get on board? And why wasn't an accurate head count made until after the flight was well underway?
The captain turned the plane around Tuesday and headed back to the U.S. 4 hours into that flight. The situation is being blamed on a series of human errors. Traffic from the helpful SoCal Honda Traffic Center stall on 710 in Commerce.
South outside of the 5 freeway, the far left lane blocked is again solid to the 60, and I've had slows off and on all the way pretty much to the 105. More heavy traffic, by the way, overhead coming away from the 91 on the Richard Willow. Northbound 710 also slow out coming out of Long Beach and Ocean into about the 405 freeway. Average.com presents Mike O'Brien, KFI in the Skies, and problems in Garden Grove on the 22.
Hey, finally some good news here, Jay. Looks like the 22 westbound just approaching Valley View right before the hookup of the North 405 into Seal Beach. The accident just cleared the 3 left lanes just a few minutes ago. So still in a recovery mode. In fact, that the recovery keeps growing. It is now back into about Euclid. Eastbound, no sweat here, but you'll have up as you approach the 57.5 split. In a wreck, call average. Mike O'Brien, KFI in the Sky.
Seeing a lot of heavy delays that are heading out of Colton, eastbound side of the 10 freeway, coming away from the 215. It looks like things start to break loose right around Wildwood Canyon, the Calabasas area. KFI in the Sky, let's get you there faster. I'm Jerry.
A facelift or neck lift without surgery, how's that sound? That's right.
Hey, guess what? I'm back. Oh, my battery's down to 3%. almost on.
Oh, sorry. We're gonna be making funny faces at you in the window, so.
Oh, hey, can you? I'm down to 3%. My battery's in that plastic bag in there.
Oh, do you want me to go in the office or in here?
Oh, turn my computer down. Sorry about that. KFI. I know, my bad. KFI AM 640 by Stimulating Talk. It is the Johnny Kent Show. Brian Suits filling in. No, I was telling Clay what I'm going to do later on because Christmas Eve, we had a special Santa tracker, KFI official Santa tracker in here when I was doing the show, 8 to 10 p.m., Super Hyper Local Sundays, live on Christmas Eve. So we were giving the kiddies updates. And then right before we left, Santa called in to thank my 8-year-old daughter. And so I'll cue that up. We'll play that in the next break. But caution, that is a huge cute alert. You might just drive off the road and die. So I'm not responsible. The thing we were talking about at the very start of the show at 2 o'clock, there's a salient fact that I don't think enough people saw. You know, the big story about this ANA, all Nippon Airways plane that left LAX, and then 4 hours into the flight, the crew announces that a passenger got on the wrong plane, and we're going to turn around and go back to LAX so they can get off the plane. And of course, John Legend, singer, was on there. His wife Chrissy Teigen. Then they start live tweeting, and they're on Snapchat doing it live and the whole thing. And this company ANA, I mean, this is one of a myriad reasons I'm never going to fly them again. Not only is that a horrible decision, but then, Deborah Mark, here was the other one I realized. If you're going to stick your head as a company right up your butt and do that and tell 300 people, screw you, there's one guy who got on the wrong plane, so we're going to fly back to LA and let him get on the right plane or whatever, turn the Wi-Fi off. Because you have... Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen, there is a passenger got on the wrong aircraft. We're going to turn around to Los Angeles International, LAX. It'll be about a 4-hour turnaround flight. And, the Wi-Fi is going out. By golly. No, that is where the only reason this story is a story is because celebrities were tweeting because they had Wi-Fi. Yeah, and so if you are a marketing or PR pro, take a lesson from what ANA did. Tell your pilots, turn Wi-Fi off immediately. Because this company looks so stupid. And here's the thing. Most people are still at the fact level of guy got on the wrong plane. How'd that happen? Whatever. But everyone pays the price because they're going to turn around and make him get off the plane. So 4 hours out, 4 hours in. But wait, it gets more outrageous with the new facts from yesterday. This guy not only got on the wrong plane. Bad enough. Joke's on him. His baggage is on another plane. Whatever. But his destination was Tokyo anyway. That's the part that if you found that out when you were flying, you would be throwing your sushi roll down the aisle. I would be so pissed because now it makes zero sense. If you had a guy, if Dr. Krieger from Archer, or if Dr. Krieger, the brain surgeon, was due in Sydney tomorrow for life-saving brain surgery and he got on the wrong plane, then tell me that. And you know what? I'll take the hit. I would also point out that he can still connect through Tokyo and go there. Because for me, why the turnaround? That was never sufficiently answered. If they had had the full facts, and they did, the flight crew had the full facts, had they told the passengers that two brothers, Japanese, were going from LAX to Tokyo, one of them had his flight on our flight here on ANA, his brother was on United, And for some reason, they both got on this plane, which was not full, so he had a seat. And it's no skin off anybody's nose because we're partners. We're whatever it is, Gold Star partners. ANA and United. And folks, we have a guy, and that's the thing. If you come forward and say, I'm on the right flight, I'm on the wrong flight. I'm supposed to be on United, but you know what? I'm going to Tokyo anyway. It's the hit's on me. My baggage is going to, on another flight. Screw it. But I just want to tell you, I'm on the wrong plane. Let's keep going. But if they had told those passengers the full facts, that not only is he on the wrong plane, but who cares? He's going to Tokyo anyway. And he's going to Tokyo anyway, but we're turning around anyway. I would have had a vein pop in my head like a dry twig. No, I think it's a real story. I think it happened exactly like that. They said that's what happened because when they had the reveal on that, more facts will make that story. It's the turning around that makes no sense, especially when you find out that he wasn't some errant, Belgian getting on the wrong flight to the other side of the world. He was going to Tokyo anyway. And I mean, like I say, they had to call back to LAX. The flight crew did not make that call because to a pilot, and again, fuel conservation is what the 787 is all about. 787 flies higher than most other airlines. It's pressurized at 9,000 feet. You can sleep on a 787. I did a 14-hour flight from DC to Addis Ababa on a 787. Most comfortable flight I've ever had. And I was back in steerage. I was rowing. It was great because Boeing has that plane pressurized for 8,000 feet, not 14,000, whatever. It made a difference. Okay, so to pilots, fuel is life. You just keep flying. You don't burn 4 hours and then turn around and burn 4 more to go back to LAX and have a plane full of angry people there. And so they knew that the guy was going to Tokyo. I mean, I got to believe they were calling back to LAX saying, hey, you know what? No harm, no foul. Let us push on to Tokyo. This is stupid. Or we'll land in Anchorage and we'll give him a warm coat and he can take the next flight, whatever. Let's, put it on him. But we are going to Tokyo. And so that airline has some real problems. And also at the corporate level, what the Japanese do. When they have a plane hit a mountain or Toyota, accelerator kills a family of 4 in San Diego and all that. I would expect that kind of thing. I would want from ANA, I would want to hear from their president, who made this decision to waste 300 people's day during a, kind of a big holiday here in the States, when the guy was going to Tokyo anyway. Oh, yeah, that's the minimum. The minimum is give me a voucher. Give me a voucher for the same trip. Oh, by the way, give me the miles too. So, alrighty, when we come back, the viral radio moment that is taking iHeartRadio by storm when a official Santa tracker employed by KFI actually gets an appreciative phone call from the Santa Claus just a few nights ago by request. I'll play that for you when we come back. It is the Johnny Ken Show. Brian Suits filling in KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. Deborah Mark with the news. Yeah, it was weird. I was like, wait, why is my intro going? And then I realized it was iHeart playing what I told it to play. But I'll cue it up, so just put me cue.
Governor Brown has issued a warning to landlords against rent gouging in areas scorched by wildfires. Brown says landlords can only raise rent by 10%.
40, 150, maybe 160. Maybe you're both speeding, but you have the right of way. In Seattle, so the Seahawks suffering not just the worst loss of the season, the second worst. Los Angeles Chargers did that. Last night at Arrowhead Stadium, it was the Kansas City Chiefs saying turnabout's fair play. The chefs hanging a 30 burger on the hapless Chargers. And did you guys watch that game? I know me and Josh watched it here. At one point. What does it cost for New Year's Eve delivery?
Well, like a smaller one, and now I'm doing.
There was almost an entire quarter where it rained. They come home. When they get home, they'll.
Best in the world. Global image. Everyone loves
Dean, with my daughter Reagan, who is our official KFI Santa tracker. You know what Gene Autry got for Christmas?
It does not say exactly where he is, but he was last seen in Munster, Indiana, United States, and he's heading for Cedar Rapids, Iowa, United States.
Website.
Turns out El Salvador was very bad, and he went back and took
A million.
all right, we'll take a quick phone call. Michelle in Sacramento. How are things in the big sack?
So many Michelles.
Very well, very well. It's good seeing you, Mr. Reagan. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Michelle.
I was wondering if you're tracking Rudolph as well. I was wondering if he's leading with the barbers.
Michelle in Sacramento. How are things?
Good numbers.
And the present count again, Reagan, is what? Presents delivered.
It's now 5.729
Wow.
billion.
Billion.
Not million.
I will see you tomorrow.
Okay, you have to hear this. Justin called in as Santa, and I gave him the secret name of her elf. So when he name dropped the elf, her eyes went like this, and she announced to KFI that this was the real Santa.
Was in yesterday with Jane on the show, and he told us about it.
Oh, really? Yeah, it just came together just perfectly. She absolutely buys it.
Listen to it in my car.
Can everybody do this? My daughter can do this. All right, Chris Merrill is up next for Tim Conway Jr. And I was wrong. Buck Sexton is moved up. It's 6 p.m. to 9 on the Patriot on 11:50 a.m. So if you want to hear John Thomas from 6 to 9 instead of some other show, that's on 11:50. And then I'm back tomorrow here for John and Ken, and then Monday for John and Ken, and then Tuesday and Wednesday I'm Buck Sexton. So Tuesday and Wednesday is Buck Sexton.
Buck Sexton.
Here's Nick with more.
Are you interested in doing crosstalk with Chris Merrill?
Yeah, I don't care, whatever he wants.
On ISDN.
Oh, where is he?
He's in Arizona, I believe.
Oh, he's been there all this week?
Yeah. So he's been here. I don't know, but that's he's been doing it via ISDN.
Wait, don't listen. Yeah, no, that's fine. Pot him up, whenever, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, can I mute this? I can't mute this. All right. Well, hey, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow here with another live. Look at this. We did 3 hours. We did 3 full hours. So thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow on John and Ken. Thanks for watching on YouTube.